Skeleton Crew Episode 3 is out, and here is my quick review on the episode. Before I get into my thoughts on Episode 3, I think it is important to quickly touch on my thoughts from the first two episodes of Skeleton Crew when it premiered a couple of weeks ago. Now, Episodes 1 and 2, I really enjoyed. I didn't know what to expect from this show going into it, but I was very pleasantly surprised by the charm, the story, the visuals, a lot of other things as well from the first two episodes of the show, and it immediately hooked me. Now with this episode, with that being said about the first two, was kind of a drop-off from the first two, and not even in a bad way. Just the first two episodes really started off with a bang. Like I said, great story, great visuals, great hook. This one kind of just felt like they needed to make it to get these characters to their next point. There wasn't a lot of action. There was just a lot of kind of banter between the kids and Jude Law's character. Again, it was kind of just a stepping stone to the next point of the plot, which will probably be a little more interesting in episodes 4, 5, as opposed to this episode. With that being said, though, that is not me saying this episode is bad by any means. It was still very enjoyable, went by very quick. I was still super invested, and I'm still really kind of on edge seeing where this story goes. We learn a lot more about this planet at Attin, where the kids are from, that it was kind of this one of a few planets that the Old Republic looked at as kind of like these gem planets. All of them were destroyed besides at Attin, and they are now hidden under this kind of gas cloud, as that weird owl lady character described to them. What I also thought was cool is that these kids, it is now confirmed that they have just been sheltered. This Attin has been sheltered since the Old Republic, more than likely, because when asked if the kids remember or know any nearby planets, they just say, well, I've heard of Coruscant and Alderaan, not necessarily saying those are close, but they've learned about those planets, to which the owl lady responds, Alderaan, you must have missed the war. And the kids say, well, what war? Which kind of just drops off there, that conversation. But showing that they have no clue Alderaan was just wiped from the face of the galaxy however many years ago that would have been, around 40 years probably? Correct me if I'm wrong, 40 to 50 years since A New Hope? Is just a really interesting take on the story and a different take on the galaxy. Having this society that's just sheltered from everything that's happened since the Old Republic. I can't even imagine how many things outside of, the Skywalker timeline that they've missed and had no recollection of. Do they even know who Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker are? They just have this idea that Jedi are the keepers of the galaxy, when in reality, there's little to no Jedi left in this current timeline that they are in. Which brings me to believe at some point, hopefully, whether it be towards the end of the season or maybe even potentially in a season 2, they do experience some things outside of their little bubble. They've already seen X-Wings, they see what they think is a Jedi. Hopefully they get to see the current landscape of the galaxy and get told some stories, at the very least, of Darth Vader, Luke Skywalker, the fall of the Republic, the fall of the Jedi, everything that we as an audience have witnessed. It'd be really cool to see these kids get educated on and maybe go back and tell all their friends at school or tell their parents, whether they believe it or not. It's cool to see the stories we know being told within the galaxy to people who had no clue what was going on. Now, the last thing I want to touch on is Jude Law's character. He confirms that he is indeed not a Jedi. That was kind of a lot of viewers' suspicion the whole time. I was very suspicious of it the first two episodes. I didn't mention it in my review, which I kind of kicked myself for after the fact, but they were really just dancing around the idea of him being a Jedi. Every time a kid brought it up and said, well, he's a Jedi, he kind of just had this weird look, or they'd pan away, they'd cut again, and he said it himself in this episode, I never said I was a Jedi, which I think is hilarious. It's kind of comedic without trying to be comedic, because yes, he's gone 3 whole episodes without confirming he's a Jedi or not. These kids are just so awestruck by the Force that They just believe he's a Jedi and he rolls with it to get what he wants. Which in this episode, we kind of see the true intentions of this character. He goes by several different names. He has ulterior motives. He's kind of a scoundrel Han Solo type character. But I think in the end, he will kind of turn good and help these kids out, maybe save them or see the betterment in helping these kids and put his ruggedness aside. Maybe he will get his reward in the end, but I don't think he'll get it by leaving these kids and taking the treasure or whatever he thinks is on at Attin. But yeah, those are just some of my quick thoughts about episode 3. Again, kind of a slower episode, just more plot driven, trying to get us to the next point, while we do also at the same time learn some really cool tidbits about this planet, the Old Republic, and kind of the ulterior motives of Jude Law's character. I'm really excited for episode 4 and the following episodes to come. I want to see if they get to this planet. They've got the coordinates. I'm sure they're going to run into some skirmishes along the way with this pirate gang crew or whatever you want to call it. And I'm really excited to see how that exactly plays out in the next few episodes before the finale. But I am done talking now. I want to hear what you have to say down in the comments below. And while you're at it, make sure to leave a like on the video if you enjoyed and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.